ಕಲ್ಲ ನಾಗರ ಕಂಡಡೆ ಹಾಲ ನೆರೆಯಂಬರು, ದಿಟದ ನಾಗರ ಕಂಡಡೆ ಕೊಲ್ಲೆಂಬರಯ್ಯ. ಉಂಬಜಂಗಮ ಬಂದಡೆ ನಡೆಯಂಬರು, ಉಣ್ಣದ ಲಿಂಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬೋನವ ಹಿಡಿಯಂಬರಯ್ಯ. ಕೂಡಲ ಸಂಗನ ಶರಣರ ಕಂಡು ಉದಾಸೀನವ ಮಾಡಿದಡೆ, ಕಲ್ಲ ತಾಗಿದ ಮಿಟ್ಟೆಂತಪ್ಪರಯ್ಯ. If they see a stone serpent, they pour milk on it. If they see a real serpent, they say, kill it. If a moving devotee comes, they say, go away. For the immobile linga, they offer food. If you neglect a follower of Kudala Sangama, you will be like a clod of earth that hits a stone. This is Bhakta Charitra, and today we dive deep into the life of the Maha Saint Basavanna, and thank you for joining me on this. Long, long ago, in the fragrant lands of northern Karnataka, the rivers Krishna and Malaprabha flowed like two arms of the divine. On that land, a remarkable soul took birth, one who would shake the roots of society, awaken hearts, and rekindle the power of pure bhakti. In a village known as Bagewadi in Bagalkote district of North Karnataka lived a devout Brahmin couple, Madiraja and Madalambe. Madiraja was a village president and Madalambe was a grihini. The couple, who belonged to the Veera Shaiva Brahmin community, began and ended their days with prayers to Nandishwara, the faithful bull of Lord Shiva. The couple had a daughter, Nagamma, but it had been 12 long years and they now longed for another child. Madalambe, who was a devout believer of Nandishwara, had one prayer in heart. She longed for a child who would bring salvation not just to her or her family, but also to countless others. With this selfless, simple, yet profound prayer in her heart, she performed the Nandi Vrata with unwavering bhakti. Moved by her pure heart, Nandi himself descended to earth as a radiant child in 1131 AD. The couple, who were thrilled to have a child, fell into worry very quickly as the baby didn't make any movement, not even cry. At this moment, according to the Basava Purana, Shiva himself descended on earth as a Shaiva saint, Jataveda Muni. This was to meet his Nandi's beloved avatara. As he went to the Madiraja and Madalambe's house, the couple welcomed him and shared their concerns about their newborn. Jataveda Muni picked the baby up, wiped the baby's face with cloth dipped in warm water, applied bhasma on his forehead, and tied a linga to his neck and called him by a name, Basaveshwara. At that very moment, the baby moved, turned sideways and looked at his parents and gave a little laugh as if Nandi was waiting for his Shiva all this time to show any sign of life. The parents were overcome by joy, picked the baby and placed him at the feet of Jataveda Muni and said, "We will henceforth call him by the name Basaveshwara as given by you, and we dedicate this child to you." Growing up in a ritualistic Brahmin household, young Basaveshwara watched countless ceremonies, chants, and forms of worship while holding the linga given by his guru Jataveda Muni close to his heart. But he saw something that disturbed and troubled him. There was ritual everywhere, but no bhakti. His heart found peace only in the small Sangameshwara temple he visited with his mother and grandmother. The bhajans sung by humble devotees touched him more deeply than any grand rituals. The flame of pure bhakti began burning in him. At merely 8 years old, he understood a truth that eludes many even today. Rituals without bhakti are like a body without a soul. He began questioning strict rules, meaningless customs, and a caste system that divided society. As is the custom, the parents performed his Upanayanam, the sacred thread ceremonies. The 8-year-old Basaveshwara didn't like just one bit. He threw away the thread and asked, "Why do I need this thread when my guru has given me a linga?" he asked. He believed that one does not need to be born in a certain caste to worship Shiva. One need not have money or have means to do elaborate rituals. All that one needs to have is bhakti. How can anyone be denied the right to love Shiva? The young Basaveshwara wondered. Hence, 8-year-old Basaveshwara left home to be with his guru Jataveda Muni, who was leading the discourses happening at Kudala Sangama. Kudala Sangama was a sacred place where two mighty rivers, Krishna and Malaprabha, met and where scholars gathered like stars in the night sky. Life there was simple but divine. Basaveshwara woke before sunrise, gathered leaves and fruits and water, and performed services for Sangameshwara before attending lessons in the Vedas and Shastras. His parents came to take him back, but Basaveshwara refused to leave Kudala Sangama. The parents, worried about the well being of their son, sought help from their daughter Nagamma. In order to fulfill their desires, Nagamma shifted to Kudala Sangama with her husband and her child Channabasava. Under the guidance of his guru and many other saints who visited Kudala Sangama, Basaveshwara spent 10 long years there. In these years, he mastered Vedas, Puranas, and Shastras. He gained deep knowledge in Sanskrit and Kannada. Yet, something felt incomplete. Something didn't seem quite right. He saw that even sacred texts and knowledge about them can also become a tool of pride and argument very often than not. In frustration, one day he declared in one of his vachanas that I will fight the Vedas and restrain the Shastras, raise welds on logic's back, and cut off the nose of agamas. He wasn't rejecting knowledge, he wasn't rejecting Vedas or Shastras, or these sacred texts. He was rejecting the misinterpretations of them. He was able to see that these texts can lead somebody towards the path of bhakti, but the people who are carrying these texts forward are simply not able to see the essence of it. He wanted the essence of spirituality and not the shell. Inspired by tales of saints like Madara Chennaiya and the Tamil Nayanars, his devotion deepened. He realized scriptures may guide, but only bhakti liberates. And so he began writing vachanas, simple, powerful teachings in the language of the common people, words that continue to echo through the centuries. While he decided to stay a brahmachari, his family and his guru had other plans. His mother's brother Baladeva had a daughter by the name Gangambike who was of a marriageable age. Baladeva, who worked as a minister at King Bijala's court at Mangalwada, heard a great deal about Basaveshwara's bhakti and his work. With a desire to give his daughter in marriage to him, he went to Kudala Sangama to meet Jataveda Muni. He expressed his desire to him, and Basaveshwara's guru saw that marrying Gangambike will aid him in his mission of Loka Kalyana. Basaveshwara did not have the heart or the courage to disagree with his guru and married Gangambike. One night, Basavanna had a dream. The dream that changed his course of life. In this dream, Sangameshwara appeared to him and asked him to leave Kudala Sangama and go to Mangalwada. Basaveshwara woke up shaken, tears in his eyes. He ran to Sangameshwara's temple and fell at his feet. How can I leave you, Parameshwara? How can I leave you? He cried again and again. But Sangameshwara came in his dream again and assured him, Basaveshwara, why do you cry? I am going to be there wherever you go. I am, in fact, inside you. Go to Mangalwada, is what Sangameshwara told Basavanna in his dreams. Basaveshwara was still not convinced, so he went to his guru. His guru confirmed this divine message. He knew Basaveshwara's mission was larger than his peaceful life in Kudala Sangama and motivated him to leave for Loka Kalyana. With a heavy heart but a firm purpose, Basaveshwara began a new chapter. In Mangalwada, Basaveshwara's first work as a humble clerk in the court of King Bijjala. His honesty, clarity, and compassion soon earned the admiration of all. He lived by his famous principle, Kayakave Kailasa, work is worship, or work itself is heaven. King Bijjala was a subordinate king ruling under the Chalukya king Tailapa, who ruled Kalyana. King Tailapa was a very weak king, and at an opportune moment, King Bijjala overthrew him and became the king of Kalyana in 1154 AD. In order to continue his work, Basaveshwara also moved to Kalyana. Soon he rose to the position of minister, yet he remained unchanged, humble, devoted, immersed in vachanas and constantly guiding people towards bhakti. Kalyana began glowing with spiritual energy. Saints from many lands flocked to Basavanna. People set aside their caste, wealth, and status to gather in the great hall of discussions, the legendary Anubhava Mantapa. Here, philosophers, devotees, women, men, saints, laborers all sat together as equals. Presiding over it was a Mahayogi Allama Prabhu, whom Basaveshwara himself had placed on Shunyapita. Along with him were the divine souls like Akka Devi, Channa Basavanna, Jedara Dasayya, Madara Chennayya. Basaveshwara wished to take his teachings to each and every one, and he did that by encapsulating the profound messages into simple verses which are called vachanas, and Kudala Sangama Deva was his Ankita Nama, his pen name. Like him, other Sharanas too started composing vachanas with their Ankita Nama, and gradually they became household songs that many Bhaktas sang to ignite bhakti. Kalyana became a heaven on earth. Basaveshwara only saw bhaktas. He did not see caste, class, or gender. During the times where women's role was limited to only the kitchen, he advocated for equal social and religious rights for women. He disliked blind practices that gave the rights to the upper caste to exploit the lower caste. He also upheld the Advaita philosophy, according to which God is one. For him, the basis of any religion is kindness, compassion, karunyam. And since he saw that the caste system and the practices arising from it was devoid of kindness, he raised voice against it. This gave the lower caste communities a new respect and hope. Hundreds and thousands of people from lower caste communities started to visit Basavanna's house, Mahamane, and Basaveshwara's wives, Gangambike and Neelambike, became their mothers who made sure that nobody went back hungry. While Anna Dasoha happened at Mahamane, Gnana Dasoha continued to happen at Anubhava Mantapa. Basaveshwara was no longer just a minister. He was Anna, the elder brother of all, leading lakhs of people with love and compassion. And this is how Basaveshwara became Basavanna. But Mango trees attract people who throw stones at them quite often. Some Brahmins started to fear that their social status would come down. Orthodox leaders, unable to accept Basavanna's breaking of caste barriers, grew bitter. One such man was Kondeya Manchanna, who constantly poisoned King Bijala's mind with lies, accusing Basavanna of misusing treasury funds to feed saints and bhaktas at Mahamane. King Bijala, whose only concern was to keep his throne intact, feared that if he does not take any action, people who are against Basavanna will protest against him too. Hence, he ordered to lock and seal Mahamane. This did not demote Basavanna in any way. He made alternate arrangements and continued with Annadasoha. Then came the incident that shook Kalyana. A marriage took place between Kalavati, who was a daughter of Brahmin parents, and Shilavanta, who was a son of lower caste parents. The marriage was quite normal to the family members because both sides' parents had renounced their caste identity and had become part of Sharana community. But the Orthodox community erupted in fury as they saw it as an intercaste marriage. They also saw this as an opportune moment to stop Basavanna's revolution and put an end to Vachana literature. They went to the king again and threatened him that if Basavanna was not removed from Kalyana and if the people who were involved in this marriage were not punished, the higher caste community will protest against him and will overthrow him as a king. Under pressure, King Bijala shook. He ordered Basavanna to renounce his position as a minister and leave Kalyana. Basavanna, with a heart full of humility, without a single word, resigned from his post and left Kalyana without informing his wives. He went to meet his guru Jataveda Muni at Kudala Sangama, only to find out that his guru had become one with the Linga. Basavanna, with a heart full of grief, decided to spend the rest of his life at Kudala Sangama and asked the Sharana Appanna to go bring his wives from Kalyana. When Appanna reached Kalyana, he was shocked by what he saw. Kalyana looked like a battlefield. As soon as Basavanna had left Kalyana, King Bijala had ordered a cruel punishment to all the people who were involved in the marriage. The eyes were gouged out of the couple's family, and Sharana devotees were dragged through the streets tied to elephants. The newlyweds were executed to death. Efforts were made to destroy manuscripts and documentations of Vachana literature too. The Sharanas, who were already heartbroken with Basavanna's departure, could not bear this and they revolted. They revolted peacefully. The political rivals of the king Bijala saw this as an opportunity to overthrow him and, at an opportune moment, assassinated him. Bijala's son misunderstood and thought that the Sharanas murdered his father and ordered his military men to kill Sharanas. Sharanas had to hastily leave Kalyana. Basavanna's first wife, who was trained in warfare, felt that it was her duty to protect these people and take them to safety. Hence, she decided not to go with Appanna to Kudala Sangama. Basavanna's second wife, Neelambike, who was no less of a bhakta herself, was at a point in her bhakti where she was not seeing any difference between her husband or the linga in her hand. So she said to Appanna, I don't see a difference between my husband or this linga. What is the point of me coming to Kudala Sangama? I will stay here and refused to go with Appanna. Appanna came back and narrated all that he witnessed to Basavanna. Basavanna was overcome by shock and grief of losing so much. He begged Sangameshwara to end his earthly days. His longing to become one with Linga became so much and became so strong that he let go of food and water and sat in deep tapas at the Sangama of two rivers, Krishna and Malaprabha. In 1164 AD, Basavanna shed his mortal body and merged with the divine Linga, becoming eternal. And his legacy lives on. Even today, the soil of Karnataka and Maharashtra holds the footsteps and the fragrance of this divine soul. Basavanna taught us equality, fraternity, compassion, above all, pure, unshakable bhakti. His vachana still echoes across time. ಉಳ್ಳವರು ಶಿವಾಲಯ ಕಟ್ಟುವರಯ್ಯ ನಾನೇನು ಮಾಡಲಿ ಬಡವಾನಯ್ಯ ನನ್ನ ಕಾಲೇ ಕಂಬ ದೇಹವೇ ದೇಗುಲ ಶಿರವೇ ಹೊನ್ನ ಕಲಶವಯ್ಯ. He asked us not to search for Shiva in stone alone or in temples alone. He asked us to look for Shiva and see Shiva in every living being. He asked us not to worship just with rituals alone, but with hearts full of love and bhakti. Even today, in many parts of Karnataka and Maharashtra, Basava Jayanti is celebrated with grandeur and joy. But if we live by his teachings, if we learn to love everybody with compassion and see the divine in every being and operate with pure bhakti, then it is Basava Jayanti every single day. With that, I hope and I wish and I pray that may our bhakti and our sadhana see us through this life and help us get past this life. And may Basavanna and his story become a guiding light to each one of us. Namaskara.